I mean, I think back to the origination of cloud, and cloud pretty much got its start with this concept of shadow IT. And shadow
Yep.
IT is the idea that, well, our departments weren't as flexible and agile to meet our needs in a timely way. So here's this cloud company that provides me access to a server that I could put my workload on, and all I have to do is swipe a credit card and I can get started right away, as opposed to wait weeks or maybe even months to get that same service from my IT. So we look at that and we think, okay, these have now started to merge, and we all agree that we need to put governance and bumpers around this. But how do you still maintain that flexibility, that agility, while implementing appropriate governance that is beneficial to the company and everybody agrees lends to a more secure environment?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's actually it's a complex question, but the answers are fairly straightforward. Really what you're looking at is you're looking at a balance between too much security and too much compliance, which will cause sort of, a stifling of the innovation within the environment. So you're talking about rigid policies that hinder agility within there. But when you hit the risk side of that, a lack of governance can increase your risks within the environment, also from a security and a compliance standpoint, as well as, potentially operational outages and things like that affecting it. And so, as you're looking at implementing governance within the environment, one of the main things that you have to do is you have to collaborate. IT, security, the business leaders, development teams, they all need to collaborate on what governance should look like within the organization and should be able to have that open discussion about, hey, this policy is too rigid and it's actually preventing us from getting our job done, and have that heard. In a lot of organizations, when teams start saying, I can't do my job, it's, well, you need to figure out how to work around that then, instead of let's fix the process. And so you want to make sure that you're collaborating to fix the processes there.
How many
Um,
times have
I
we
did,
heard that, right? In
yeah,
organizations where we're like, hey, just need to get this thing out or get this thing deployed, and you're like, no, that you have to comply. So yeah, I think we've all kind of been there, right, at some point.
yeah. And it's about, all the teams within IT working with the business to change it from a culture of no to a culture of let's figure it out.
Right.
And that sort of pushes the innovation. But as part of that, inviting all the stakeholders to the table, right? Even your
Yeah.
customers, bring them to the table and ask them what's working, what's not working, where are the processes that we're building into our solutions actually impacting you negatively as well, and let's figure out how we fix that too, because some of that may drive improvements within your governance processes, on the back end, or your infrastructure, or your security, things like that.
I want to focus on
Um,
something you said a moment ago too. When you said focusing on outcomes, right? You get into conflict resolution, and we see that. And I bring conflict resolution up because you just referred to all these silos and competing interests within the company. And sometimes that produces some kind of friction between the organizations, and then things get held up because of those silos. And one of the things that you discuss in conflict resolution books, etc., is let's get away from what I'm interested in or what my personal things are, and let's think about outcomes, or what is best for the business, what is best for the organization. And I
yeah.
love that about what you said about focusing on outcomes. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that and how that might impact your cooperation that you might elicit from the various silos involved in this decision making and the collaboration environment?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big fan of focusing on outcomes, because you really have 2 points where you sort of make decisions. You make decisions at the beginning, which would be rules, right? These are the boundaries that we're putting in place, which can impede your outcome. But if you start with the outcome and you work backwards from the outcome, then you know what you want to achieve. Now, how do we make that happen and still maintain our compliance and our governance within the environment?